Beats is indisputably one of the biggest brands in music. Are Beats headphones worth their hefty price tag? Are they some of the worst Bluetooth headphones you can get? Today, I'm reviewing the Beats Solo 3 Wireless Special Edition Black headphones. And you might be surprised at how I feel about them, so let's jump into it. When you first open the box, you'll be greeted by Beats' classic "change the way you hear sound" tagline, and then you'll get to the soft shell portable carrying case with the Beats Solo 3s safely tucked inside. You'll also get a 3.5mm audio cable, which includes an inline mic and remote, a micro USB charging cable, a carabiner carrying clip, a small package with warranty information, a Beats sticker, and, for me, 3 months of Apple Music. I'm not sure if that comes in every package of Beats, but I would assume not. And that's it. For $300, that's what comes in the package. And that's something I want to touch on quickly before I dig in. These headphones are a whopping $300, and so they have a lot to live up to. But do they? Is the price to quality ratio what makes these headphones so controversial? To be honest with you, I think it is. The headphones that I picked were the matte special edition black version, and thus they don't absorb fingerprints and maintain a sleek, professional look after months of use. However, the Solo 3s do come in a lot of different colors, and some of them are glossy. Personally, I think the matte looks much better, though to each their own. Some people like the glossy design, but I'm not a fan of it because I'm not a fan of having fingerprints all over whatever device that I have. The majority of Solo 3s are made of hard plastic, which means they can still be scratched and show imperfections, but it's not easy to do. Overall, I like the aesthetic of the Solo 3s as they combine elegance, professionalism, and comfort into a package that never looks too big and bulky and maintains a look of quality while also maintaining a rather minimalistic profile. The headphones fold down into a nice, compact size, which makes them easy to store or take on the go. While the case that comes with the Solo 3s may be good for portability, it only offers a small amount of protection, and if you're going to spend $300 on these, you'll probably want a hard shell case. The frame of the Solo 3s itself feels fragile as well, and I feel if I push any farther than this, it might jeopardize the integrity of the headband. And while I don't feel there are many situations where they would bend beyond this point, it's something to be cautious about. On the right ear cup, you will find your power and Bluetooth syncing button, as well as the micro USB port for charging. On the left ear cup, you have the 3.5mm port to connect the jack with mic and remote to, as well as a multifunctional button on the outer side of the ear cup. This button can take phone calls, skip to the next and previous songs, pause your music, activate Siri on iOS devices and Google Assistant on Android, and more. Honestly, it's great functionality wise, but there's also a glaring issue with this. Both ear cups look identical, and to this day I still find myself reaching up and pushing on the wrong side to no avail. A way to tell the button apart from the other side would be a nice feature. Otherwise, the headphones keep their minimal design while having enough functionality to give the user some options. But while looks and functionality are great, comfort is a place where high-end headphones live or die. Unfortunately, this is one of the biggest issues for me with the Solo 3s. The Solo 3s are basically identical to the Solo 2s, so if you ever use those, you'll know what you're getting here. I do like the feeling of the leather ear cups. They have a great combination of firmness while also avoiding squishing the outside of the ear. However, this is not enough to curb the problem of the overall size being too snug for my head. While they aren't entirely uncomfortable, I never felt relaxed while wearing the Solo 3s. There was always too much pressure unless I extended them all the way out, and when I did this, they would wiggle and fall off easily. As a person who wears glasses, this pressure after a couple hours of use would start to make the area where my glasses and ear meet start to hurt, and I would have to take them off. In comparison to a headphone like the ATH M50Xs, where the size and fit allow me to wear them for hours on end with no fatigue, the Beats Solo 3s feel almost constricting, and I never felt truly comfortable in them. Oh, and the soft plastic on the bottom of the headband is not enough padding in my opinion, and seem to feel more hard than soft when wearing them. While the looks and design of the headphones are great, the wearability of them left something to be desired. Another determining factor for many Bluetooth headphones is their battery life, and the Beats Solo 3s come out swinging in this department. They claim to have 40-hour active battery life, and from all my testing, this seems to be accurate. I got around 31 hours just testing them on full volume, and when listening to them at regular volume, I got to almost 41. These headphones will last you for days on end, and on top of long battery life, they added in a fast fuel function, which enables a 5-minute charge to give 3 hours of playback when on low battery. That's an incredible package for a battery, and one of the best parts about the Solo 3s. For some reference, the Solo 2s only had 12 hours of battery life, and a quadrupling of time is not too shabby. This is mainly due to Apple's new W1 chip, and battery life is not the only thing affected by this new technology. Pairing the Beats Solo 3 wireless headphones with any Apple products is one of the most impressive aspects of the W1 chip, and is a huge step for the future of Bluetooth technology. When you turn on the headphones, a connect button on your iPhone pops up, and you simply hit connect, wait a few seconds, and you're paired. and not just to the iPhone, because the Beats will be connected to any device on your iCloud account instantly. This process is so seamless and instantaneous that it almost seems like magic. However, if you use these headphones with any non-Apple products, the Bluetooth pairing process will be the same traditional one, and that magic goes away. Hopefully, that amazing process can be done with any device from any company in the near future. All of the functionality of the headphones is the same once paired no matter what device you're using though, which is an upside for non-Apple users. 1 click pauses your music or answers a call, 2 skips to the next song, 3 returns to the previous song, and holding it down activates Siri or Google Assistant. The Solo 3s have some insane range as well. I left my phone in my house, walked outside, and got almost 75 feet before I started having any connectivity issues. All of that connectivity put together, at least for Apple users, is one of the coolest parts of the Beats Solo 3s. But unfortunately, I don't think that's enough to really determine their worth off of. Of course, in the end, the point of headphones is audio, and the Beats are made for music, so I'll start there. Quick disclaimer, I'm not an audio engineer and I'm only somewhat of an audiophile, so I won't be going super in depth on the Solo 3's sound and reproduction. However, I can say that at $300, the Solo 3s disappoint in almost every way when it comes to audio, and especially music. As they're best known for their low-end sound, I can say there's a huge emphasis on low-end and some strong bass with these headphones. However, I feel the bass tended to not only be a little too boomy for me, but drowned out many other aspects of the music. I found even with hip hop and electronic music that the low end tended to be too much and lead to a slightly unenjoyable listening experience, which was not what I expected. Songs like Kendrick Lamar's Cartoon and Serial are great because the bass is almost equal with the other instruments, in the sense that an instrument will go off, then you'll hear bass in the background, and then instrument will be happening and then bass will go in the background again. But other songs where the bass is tied in with the other instruments and the vocals at the same time tend to let the vocals get drowned out in favor of the bass. Most of the time mids are drowned out by the low end, and sometimes when drums are a more prominent sound, the other tones would be pushed aside in favor of highlighting those low end noises. This would lead to guitars, banjos, ukulele, subtler electronic noises, and even vocals sometimes becoming washed out and forced behind a barrier of bass. When the bass isn't front and center, the details of the other levels are actually pretty decent, but considering they are lost more often than not, they can't be appreciated as they should. And while the Solo 3s do a good job of limiting high ends to prevent piercing tones and painful moments, they also limit the high end's detail and intricacies that are necessary to some music's full enjoyment. This is especially noticeable in folk, indie, and acoustic songs where high and mid-range sound are the focal points. This is a shame because I listen to a wide variety of musical genres, and I could feel the Beats Solo 3s struggling to submit their dominance in really all of the categories. Outside of music, I also listen to a ton of podcasts, watch YouTube videos and streamers, edit my own videos and audio, as well as listen to audiobooks. This is the department where I think that the Solo 3s are actually the worst in audio. When the person speaking is using a microphone that captures those low-end sounds well, the Solo 3s are actually a really enjoyable listening experience. While far from perfect, the level of bass added to a deep voice adds that extra oomph and makes the voice stick out. However, listening to a speaker whose audio is mainly mid and high-end audio is terrible. I found that I would rather listen to a podcast through my phone speakers or my Apple AirPods than the Beats Solo 3s. The voices would sound distant, hollow, and empty. Music was debatably okay experience with the Solo 3s, but anything outside of music was either love it or hate it, and more often than not I hated it. As for editing audio, I find headphones like the ATH M50Xs, which are $150 cheaper and much better in almost every way, to be far superior in this department, and they'd be my first choice when editing any audio. The M50Xs have a wired connection, but even so, for $150 less, I would choose a wire with amazing sound quality over some extra Bluetooth functionality. Oh, and the sound leakage is pretty terrible. People next to you will hear whatever you're listening to, and if it's loud enough, it almost might sound like a low volume speaker to them. So take that into account as well. If you want something where people can't hear what you're listening to, the Beats are not for you. However, they do an okay job of noise cancellation from the outside, so your listening experience feels like it's a bit more personal. In the end, my recommendation is actually going to be to pass on the Beats Solo 3 wireless Bluetooth headphones. The Solo 3s are definitely not worth $300, period. If they were $150 to maybe $200 at the most, they'd be a much more reasonable product. With their connectivity and the Apple W1 chip technology, they show some great insights into the future of Bluetooth headphones and other devices, but if you're not an Apple device user, you miss out on all that. While listening to music isn't terrible on the Solo 3s, it isn't great either. I wouldn't recommend these unless you really like previous Beats, you have all Apple devices, and you're looking to blow a lot of money on headphones. If that's not you, I'd pass on the Beats Solo 3 wireless and just go with a better quality, cheaper headphone just without the Beats branding. Anyway guys, let me know your opinions on the Beats Solo 3s down in the comments below, and if you want me to review any other products or just do another video topic, also leave a comment below about that as well. And if you're new to the community, it would really help if you hit that subscribe button so you can see all my new videos as they come out and be a part of this community we've created, which is super awesome. We have some great relationships in here, great conversations, and I'd love for you to be able to be a part of that. Oh, and don't forget to give that like button some love. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's continue to create the greatest community in the world. I'll see all you guys in the next video.